All right, here's the first take on the index. Positive, up about 30 odd points. Sensex is up 75 points. The Bank Nifty has opened in the red. So, not great for the Bank Nifty, to be honest. The rest of the market is sideways with a positive bias. ONGC, Sun Pharma, Nestle and Reliance are your top Nifty gainers. Auto stocks also doing pretty well. M&M, Eicher Motors are in the green. Infosys is trending in the green right now. Coal India is up about 0.3%. So these are some stocks that are holding on to the green line. ITC, Wipro, Divi's Labs, Bharti Airtel are a couple of other stocks that are in the green right now. On the downside, Titan is under a bit of pressure. SBI Life is just taking a bit of a breather. Kotak Mahindra Bank, Bajaj Auto, a bit of a breather there. And Asian Paints as well, flat with a negative bias. But suffice to say, this market is in consolidation mode. It's quietened down as we head into the end of the year. So there's not too much movement on the headline index, just hanging on to those gains of last week. 21,400 is, being supported very firmly. Devyani International, burgers getting into the Thailand market, all of their, brands entering over there. So 5% higher on Devyani International this morning. And other than that, anything else in the broader markets is looking good?
Well, I'm looking at Apollo Tyres, Sonia. The last full week, the street was sensing there's going to be a large trade that's going to take out there. Yes, the trade happened. The problem is that it happened in the pre-market. If it happened in normal market hours, then in fact, those shorts would make some money. But now the shorts are getting squeezed out. And that explains why all those short positions are scrambling for cover. And that's why that stock is up close to around 7%. That's one of the biggest movers in today's trading session. Add to the list a couple of other big movers. You have Vedanta, one of the top traded stocks today. That's up close to around 2%. Vedanta Limited declaring some dividend. Bulk of it will go to the promoter entity. Vedanta Resources gets some money and avoids any kind of default, any kinds of, other trouble with them. So that's why that stock is up. JTL Industries, well, a big preference issue is what they did. Massive dilution, close to around 15%, at a big premium as well. The stock has run up in the last few days. It's almost at a 52-week high in today's trading session. So that one is well up close to around 3%. Other big volume buzzers, you have Delta Corp as well that's buzzing in trade in today's trading session. So that's a big mover. And Sterling and Wilson up close to around 5% as we speak. Z on the flip side, that's under some pressure. That's down close to around 2.5% odd. Sony, though, is clarifying to CNBC-TV18 they've not agreed to deadline extension sought by Z. So that's why that stock is under some pressure. And, that's down close to around 3% as we speak. And IRCTC, after the big run that we saw yesterday, some brakes being put on here, down close to around 1.5%. Prashant, what else?
Nigel, on that flash, the most important word is yet. Yeah. Have not yet agreed to a deadline extension sought by Z because people will be hoping that, this is a matter of time. If not, that's a huge negative, right? For Z. We were just talking about Z with Avnish. And Avnish, of course, was telling us that the hopes, of course, were that this gets consummated quickly, cash comes in, there's a re-rating, a global brand, etc., etc. But that story, of course, will only be, will go through if Sony agrees to the extension. That's the first step now. And this is what's coming through from Sony as far as comments to CNBC-TV18 are concerned. Just a few other names I want to just highlight before we move any further. IREDA is coming up with a 4% pop. It's got humongous volumes. Second largest volume traded name. So 2 days of some correction and today back up again. Devyani, of course, we mentioned. Again, the gains are 7%, but look at the volumes. Sterling and Wilson, I think it's another circuit days. The QIP, of course, got done. Sterling and Wilson Solar, 452, fourth largest volumes on across the board on the NSE right now. Dixon comes up. There's a CLSA note this morning. I think it just talks about the IT hardware opportunity and how Dixon perhaps is well poised to take advantage of it. GTL Industries, I think we highlighted 3% on GTL. Amit Jeswani, who runs Stallion Asset Management, he was with us yesterday on the program and closing bell, and he was saying that they've been buyers in GTL. More on this a little later. Chennai Petro is up 2.5%. GIC RE is up about 3.5%, 330. There is PMC Infra, a stock which Vivek highlighted in the morning, which is up about 4% as well. So there's a fair bit going on with volumes. Right out of the gates, there is no dearth of volumes at all. Oil India is up about 2.5%. So these oil names, oil and gas names are starting the day up, at least right now. Keynes is up about 2%. Just a few more names. Jindal SAW is up about 3%. I mentioned Chennai Petro, but there is MRPL, which is up about 4% as well. So is it the shipping story? Is it fears there. I'm not sure, but some of these names are starting the day up. Siemens saw this massive move yesterday, 7%, closed up 7%. It's starting about 1.3% lower. And look at Max Healthcare, the hospital name, which starts about 2% lower, 2.5% lower as well. Sorry?
By the way, I just was looking at Zomato and the trajectory, right? I mean, the year has belonged to Zomato. Just look at it. It's at a fresh high this morning at 130. Who would have thought this year Zomato is up 120%? Of course, the movement started after its earnings. If you remember, the upgrades that came in post-earnings, the fact that Blinkit was doing very well. And this is one stock that has had a phenomenal run. So fresh high this morning. So I couldn't really take my gaze off some of these platform companies that have been doing really well.
We spoke, if you remember, we sat right here and spoke.
Yes.
I mean, Ramdevji, of course, of Motilal Oswal, took us through that conversation, and he's, of course, remains extremely bullish on this business, the business model, and for the company as well. So 131 on Zomato is where we're at.